Oh no.
It's the second time she did that. She went. Well, I went away for the weekend and I left her with some friends who took their eyes off her. She went wandering away and then somebody called.
Ended up in the pound, huh?
Yeah, the dog catcher came.
Uh-oh.
They know her over there.
Uh-oh.
I had to bail her out. I was so proud of myself. I had to pay. It's just so funny.
Well, last week was a cliffhanger.
Oh my God.
Because you were displaying a symptom and we failed to identify it as such.
Look, I have my Austrian sweater on for Bootsy.
Oh my God. That's very nice.
Thank you.
You look very good in it too. Your skin looks great. Your skin color is great.
Thank you.
Well, okay, what happened was you were curing things all through the, filming, and it was a filming about your relationships basically, and at the end of the thing, you kept going into this like really awful feeling, like you kept flipping into this awful feeling, and I thought you were like doing that purposely. So I thought it was some kind of a manipulative thing you were doing. And I've seen this before. I've seen it in other people. I've seen other people do it, and I've never been able to identify it until yesterday.
Too bad we can't watch it.
I mean, not till yesterday, till last Tuesday. Later on, about 4 or 5 hours later, I started remembering when Chrissy left me. My ex-girlfriend, in case anybody doesn't know who that is, which nobody does, obviously, because it's a movie on YouTube. So I used to go with a woman named Chrissy, and she left me, and I would cure things and feel great. I get this big grin on my face, like you were getting that too. And then I would have this awful feeling come up, and then I would cure something else, and I'd get the big grin back, and I'd go back and forth like that. And it'd just clear finally, and I'd move on. And you probably felt okay after the thing was over, right?
Yeah, it took me, I kept going in and out of it, but it was kind of empowering. I felt better, yeah.
What happens is, after like half an hour or an hour or so, the only thing that's left is just whatever you've cured, you're that much better.
Uh-huh.
And the sadness goes away because you're not like thinking about the thing, and you're not like confronting this issue. But the thing is, I'll tell you what the thing was that was happening. You were experiencing your virtual reality collapsing.
Yeah, it's funny because I believe that. You started talking about virtual realities after that movie, and I couldn't figure out what you were talking about. And then just yesterday I started realizing it. Like just walking out of your house is getting out of a virtual reality, out of my house,
Well, Jen, you actually called it in the middle of that movie, and I watched the movie again that we made last Thursday, and you, Jen, you actually called it. You said Barb likes the idea of relationship. Remember?
Yeah.
What you were actually saying is she likes the virtual reality.
Yeah, same thing.
It's the same thing. And but unfortunately, even though you called it, you weren't actually able to communicate it in a way that the two of us, were able to pick it up and do anything with it. So I just went on with other things. I didn't hear it until, I watched the movie again, and I went, oh my God, she nailed it, We could have had such a different, experience there. We could have, but, neither Barb nor I guess were ready to, And also you said, I have that too. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is what we should do today, see? What we should do is we should start with you talking about yours with Barb, and Barb can bounce off that and get into hers, and you can see about unmocking this virtual reality, and let the bad feelings come up if they do, and let the reality, that's what it has to be. We have to collapse the virtual reality. completely, then the person is cured. It can take, God knows how, it could be like years, or maybe we'll get something done today. I don't know. I don't know how this works. For me, what I know is it was a very, very long time, and a long time in collapsing it. And, but I stayed in touch with my love for Chrissy, this woman, the whole time. And that's the key to collapsing the virtual reality, is to stay in touch with the reality of the person, like what's great about them.
Yeah.
And how they were, like in my case, how she was right to leave me, why that was good for me. Mm-hmm. And it was good for me. It really, I don't think there was any other way to get me to cure this stuff than for her to go. So, okay, take it away.
God, I felt anxious when you said that. Okay, well, let's see. When I said I had the same thing, I was talking about, I have, an idea of how I want to have a relationship in my life, and then I go out and find somebody, and then I create some relationship with them, and then I realize this isn't really what I wanted. This it's not right, and I could never really just be upfront and say, I was wrong or anything like that. I'd have to create some kind of drama for the other person to push me away. So that's how I related to you when we were talking last week.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same thing.
It's exactly what Barb does as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's how I've done over the years.
Now, Jen, you're now married with 2 kids?
2 kids, yeah.
And so how did you get from where you're talking about doing that to actually staying in, and what you should do some testing now. Is the relationship I have with my husband, is that a virtual reality?
I wish.
Test it. Is it a virtual reality?
Okay.
Just try testing. You gotta check this stuff.
I know. Okay.
Barb, you should test it for her. Is her relationship with, what's his name?
We'll call him George. It's George, but it's pronounced in an Austrian way, and you'll never get it.
Okay, so we'll call him. All right. So
Georg is his name, but
I can pronounce it, Georg. Is her relationship with Georg a virtual reality, Barb? What do you get? Is her relationship with her son a virtual reality? Is her relationship with her daughter a virtual reality?
It's like almost everything's a virtual reality until you get into a new reality.
You're getting yes on it, huh?
Yeah.
What about Jen? What are you getting?
Well, I tested for my husband and I got no.
Yeah, I got no on that.
But I think there are parts of it that are. I mean.
What about your son?
I got no for Max, is his name.
And what about your daughter?
My dog?
Your daughter.
Okay.
Demons, demons, remember?
Yeah.
What do you get for your dog?
I got yes for Nicole, my daughter.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned your dog, because what happened...
Yeah, because he's barking like crazy down there. It's distracting me a bit.
Oh, well, that's fine, because I tested about my dog that died. And see, that dog, well, I had a bunch of dogs, but this one, they were all lived here together. This one was really a teacher to me, and really cared whether I, did well. She was really new. She was inside of me, this dog. Her name was Daisy. Her name was Daisy. And
okay, I know her from your talks.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about her.
Yeah, and I tested that she was not a virtual reality. So that's interesting that I was able to go to an animal and have a real relationship. And it's also interesting, if you're testing, know about your husband, there's probably some reality to that. So it's good that you've been able to have a relationship that isn't a virtual reality, although obviously there's going to be some virtual stuff in there and so on. But one thing is that, see, if I think about like my relationship with, let's say, Franny and Greg's here now. He's came down for a month. And if I think about my relationship with them, there are all kinds of things I imagine about them, a virtual reality, that prove to be less than I was hoping for, less than I was imagining, disappointing. See, disappointment is an immune dysfunction, and it happens when a virtual reality about somebody is simply popped. They pop it, like they don't do whatever the virtual reality said they were going to do.
Oh, I see, right.
Then there's also the kind of virtual reality where you simply dream on and you never do anything with the person that would cause it to pop. Let's say two sex addicts get together and they have a relationship based on they have great sex. And nothing ever makes the thing pop, and yet they're both in a dream.
Is there something wrong with this? I'm just kidding.
I have to say, like, I'm a sex addict and I've been in recovery for like 20 years. And people always make fun of us. You just did it. You made fun of, and I tell you, I ruined my life just as bad as any alcoholic with my sex addiction.
Oh yeah, they have 12-step programs for that.
I really, I didn't have a 12-step program, but I managed to go into recovery.
It is a real addiction, I know that.
I had the real addiction and wrecked my life, okay? That's what happened, and it's not funny. It's all pretty horrible, if you get right down to it, it really is, it's very destructive. And it interferes with everything and ruins everything. There is no part of one's life that is not affected by an addiction.
Right.
And the thing is, what you said last week, remember you said that I can take cocaine and feel great? Remember that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you blurted that out. You should watch that movie. You should watch the movie you made last week. The thing that when you said that, that's right. See, for one thing, you notice you had the most conviction. That had the most conviction of anything you said in the whole meeting.
Well, it's like it was around relationship, yeah.
Well, the other thing is that any drug of choice, be it sex or cocaine or alcohol or whatever it is, will create a virtual reality, the best of anything. And it is not hard work, and it's very hard to pop it. Like when somebody's flying, or drunk, or whatever, or having sex, it's very difficult for that for anything to get in and pop that for VR. When you're acting out. And of course later you're like, you're just wasted and wrecked and destroyed, and like hours later, you're just like, oh God, what did I do to myself? And I've done it without, I didn't just have sex addiction. I am an addict. I've been a drug addict, I've been an alcoholic, I've been a food addict, you name it. And I have had the addiction. And there's a ton of other addictions that are a lot more abstract and don't have 12 steps. Like addictions to power and control and all these things. And, you wake up in the morning and it's just like a disaster, and you're going, what did I do to myself? Maybe then something can come in and pop it. You have a moment of clarity, and you go, I got to stop. You have to stop this. I came away with nothing. It's so funny because our friend Megan, who looks a little like you, Jen, So if you look at you, you sort of see Megan. She looks pretty much like you're very similar looking. And Megan used to work for a billionaire South American guy who she was his trainer, and she'd go down, and they were both sex addicts. And they didn't have sex because, he didn't want to have sex with an employee, but they were buddies, and he was like an enabler for her. And she went down and she was trying to get off the sauce, and so she didn't have sex. And he said, look, you went to, England and all these countries we went to together, and what have you got to show for it? And to him, it's like having sex was like getting a trophy. It was like something to show for it. And really, boy, when you do that, you really have nothing to show for it. That's what, like, sex addicts, when you finally see through it, you realize, like, God, I had sex with all these people, and all I am is tired, and depleted, and I have nothing to show for it, and I've accomplished nothing, and I've wasted my time. What have I done? That's where I woke up. There came a point. It was very slow. I'm not describing it very well, but anyway. So back to virtual realities. Go see if you guys go ahead and talk now. You shouldn't have got me started.
Well, sometimes they're useful, I would say.
Yeah, I know they like
virtual realities are useful. Airline pilots use them, and they get credit and higher pay when they do time on the simulator, which is the use of a virtual reality to become more adept at flying a jetliner. Okay, that's an example of a useful virtual reality. For you, in your coaching, Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, first he would picture the whole workout in his mind and go through it in his mind virtually, and then he would actually go lift the weights and do exactly what he saw, and he won the world championship.
Well, I use it for those, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I use it to stay on track with my diet and my exercise and how I want to be in the world. I have it all mocked up in my head, and that's
right. That's right. That's a very, very good use of a virtual reality. My Nate story.
Yeah, your Nate story
is a virtual reality, and it's totally changed the way I use the internet in just weeks. It really paid off.
When it's not good as in relationship.
Well, no, it isn't good any place where you're not using it but trying to live in it.
Yeah, exactly.
See, you're not living in a virtual reality. You're creating a virtual picture of how you want to live in reality, and then discovering that it's achievable. And you look good, and you're in great physical shape, and you're a terrific coach and trainer for other people because you've trained yourself to picture what's achievable with a virtual reality. So did Arnold Schwarzenegger. So do airline pilots. I hope I'm doing this with my Nate story. So far, it's been paying off, because I've completely changed how I use the net. And there's more to come. And I'm learning more about how to create this virtual story and I base it on real things. I base it on real events and people I've known and so on. I keep saying that's what Elmore Leonard says about writing, that he talks to somebody and he gets a character out of it.
Right. That makes sense.
He's writing an insurance adjuster. He goes and hangs out with an insurance adjuster. Kevin Bacon spent a week with Keely's boyfriend learning about playing the disc jockey that he played in one of his movies. Actors do it all the time. So, with that, what we're trying to do here is, Barb, what you need to test, Barb. Have I been rejecting reality in favor of virtual reality? And Jen, you should always test for Barb. So hold your fingers up so people can see you're testing.
I feel like I've been sort of practicing or like, you know, creating ideas and then not testing them fully in reality. Or if I do, I just sort of ignore where the thing will fall short, or trying to believe that something could turn into something that maybe it can't.
That sounds very accurate to me. Jen, what did you get? Is she rejecting reality in favor of virtual reality?
I got yes.
So test this, Barb. Have I been trying to live in virtual realities?
I've been trying to like jump from one to the other and make it like somehow make it get training or make practice until I manifest, you know, being real. Like I think if I just practice enough or experiment with virtual realities enough, that pretty soon I'll attract, it's like the example with the pilot in the simulator, like pretty soon I'll just step into something and I'll be ready, and it'll fit.
Well, what you're trying to do is separate the good behavior, from where you're actually trying to inhabit a virtual reality. And so I want you to test things now. And also maybe go to the hub, Jen, and test for Barb what she might be able to, like what skill, and then what she might be able to get something from for a lesson. And ask questions and test them. Try to like bore into this further.
Well,
Okay, I'm going to the hub.
good. Good luck. Be careful out there. Wear a helmet.
Okay. I will save this while this is loading up. When I've been married, let's see, it'll be 13 years we've been together. And when I first met my husband, it was the same, thing I always do. Same virtual reality business.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would like to fall in love. I wanted to fall in love. He was a great guy. And, I've done it before. But, something about, was, I don't know, more than the other one. So, and I was ready for something else. And he kind of fit the picture, like what I wanted at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had kids pretty soon after we got together. We were both, mature, older people. Like I wasn't going to wait a long time to have kids. So that happened. And the reason I bring that up is because when the virtual reality of that relationship fell apart, and it did, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out because that's what I do when that happens. This is never going to work. It's wrong. It's, I got to find somebody else. It's, that whole story. But I had kids with this guy, so I made it work, And
Yeah.
he'll tell you the same thing. I mean, those kids, people say don't stay together for your kids, but I stayed with this man for my kids, and it was the best thing I've ever done. I mean, I've gotten to a level in this relationship I would never have, achieved with anybody else hadn't I done that. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
And now I'm on the hub. So was I displaying a whole bunch of symptoms right there?
No. Very interesting.
Test it. Don't try to second guess.
I
Just test
realized
it.
after I talked for more than about 2 minutes.
Was Jen displaying symptoms? Was Jen displaying symptoms? Barb, what do you get?
Probably.
A little bit of a guess, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was Jen displaying symptoms?
Trying to put it, big thing into a little nutshell. Didn't really.
Jen, what I want to say to you here is, like, I was actually, when you asked if you were displaying a bunch of symptoms, just coming over to tell you that I see a lot of emotional honesty in you.
Yeah, that's what I mean, exactly.
It was I thought it was gutsy, real like, down home basic stuff, really.
Yeah, well, that's the trip.
The real plain truth,
That's not a symptom, man.
Yeah, so I was, and you said it's the best thing I've ever done, and it's fantastic advice for people who just don't understand that there's a lot of us who are just lost when it comes to our relationships. We make millions of dollars, and we're lost when it comes to our relationships. And you said it, you have a fantastic way to make a heart connection with people and animals. And I'm sure you're a great mom and a great wife.
I hope so. I think so.
That's what I get from you. So for me, you and I tested. Yes, you were displaying some symptoms, and I'm glad you said that too, because we got to keep going. We got to keep curing ourselves.
Exactly.
And
I have improved immensely since doing IMMUNICS in the last 4 months. I think I've been doing this.
Well, hey, maybe you were a little scared when you were talking, so you were displaying some symptoms.
Yeah, I was just trying.
Because you were being gutsy. You were being very, very gutsy there. You really put it all out on the table. Okay, what do you get for?
It's your turn.
What do you get for Barb to test through?
You want me to go through these skills? Or
Yeah, I think that you should test for Barb, and Barb should test for herself, and find one and only one and do it. You're testing for a skill. Go to the lesson page. Test for a lesson.
I am going to Wait, that's not it. Still working on it here. So Alright. I got number 9. 3 spiritual diseases. Sounds serious, huh?
Lions and tigers and bears. Okay. Where are they?
Okay, well,
I'll go there and look too. I listened to 2 good audios last night of Bayard's MP3s about sex. They were really good.
Test for, oh good, I'm so glad to hear that.
Bayard's talk about turning angels into demons yesterday when I was on a podcast.
That was...
I don't know this one too much.
Okay, there's 3...
Conditions, deformity, negative beingness. Well, I don't think you have negative beingness.
Okay.
I've had it, but I'm pretty good at clearing my negative beingness when I recognize it. Deformity, I think I might have, because I always think of deformity as like doing something wrong long enough that you kind of malform around it.
Tell you what, both of you test for one and only one of these.
In your life is like another layer of the same.
Wow. Tell you what, both of you test for one and only one of these.
Okay.
So which you're going to work on today for Barb?
You pick one.
Test for one. Barb, you test 2 though. Test for. Just.
What was the other one?
Tell it.
Deformity, negative beingness, and what?
Conditions.
Conditions. I have conditions.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Pathologies that disable you with others.
Now, there you go. That's exactly what Barb was complaining of. Now, Barb, how do you feel right now?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
I feel pretty calm and clear, powerful. I just feel kind of like frustrated. I feel like I suddenly see how easy everything could have been, and
Well, Jen,
how complicated I made it.
okay, let me just tell you something about conditions. If somebody tries to live in a virtual reality, that is a condition. That is a condition. Also, it creates conditions. Okay, so with that, go ahead.
How are conditions and dysfunctions, are those two totally
Conditions
different?
Dysfunctions they're completely different. Conditions are, see, it's dysfunctional to try to live in a virtual reality, but it's also a condition. Conditions are both the person and not the person. Dysfunctions are choices, actually.
Okay.
But conditions are not choices. They may be generated by choices, or they may just be hung up in reality. You know, somebody could be in a condition for thousands of years. Humanity is in conditions. That's why there's war. Anything Barb cures will take this condition out. This is why people who are trying to live in a virtual reality don't like testing or curing things. And Barb, by the way, it's why you haven't cured enough. And it's why you got a positive medical test on herpes. Because you got a negative medical test on herpes in 2004 or 6?
6. Well, you just...
So you got a negative on, and then you recontracted it, but you have not been doing enough curing to act. You have no outbreaks, but so you've been doing enough curing to not have outbreaks, but you have not been doing enough curing to actually get a negative medical test.
Are you doing enough curing?
Test. Does Barb cure enough things?
No, I just feel bad. I don't know.
I think there.
What did you?
Did you doing all that? I feel like I never get any results. I just I'm constantly finding what's wrong with me. It's just getting so boring.
This is the virtual reality coming to pieces right here. What you're watching right now. That's she's getting in touch with reality and doesn't like it. This is what it looks like. Exactly what you're seeing there.
And imagine if you didn't do any curing.
Believe it or not, this is actually good.
You would be in the insane asylum.
Well,
feels like I am already. I'm just kidding.
What did you get when you tested Do I Cure Enough?
Do I cure enough? I feel like I cure a lot. I may not cure viruses and stuff. I don't think I'm bothered by viruses.
Did you get a signal when you tested Do I Cure Enough?
Do I cure enough? Yeah.
Jen, what'd you get?
I got no. Sorry, Barb.
Okay, just keep going. I'm gonna go on mute again. Go ahead.
Okay, so do you have any conditions right now that are interfering with you attracting the right person into your life?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's find out what they are. Does anything come to mind, or should we go test?
Just I have conditions that cause me to not even, it just cause me not to accept any person really, or let in any person. This is making me very uncomfortable now. This is okay.
Okay, well, why don't you test, can I cure these conditions?
I feel like a lot of my virtual realities were around my work with IMMUNICS actually, and with Barb. I would let myself get really excited about things, or somebody would, I'll believe anything anybody says, but something's just around the corner, or this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and I feel sometimes it takes two to make a virtual reality, there's got to be some agreement with the other person too, or the other entity, so I feel kind of I think there's it's almost like a disappointment or betrayal too sometimes. Their own people. Anyway, so what was your question?
Do you also believe believe people when they say negative things, not just, oh, it's going to be great, this is going to happen? Or do you believe when people say it's never going to work?
Oh, no, sometimes I think, that I can change it or change their mind and make it happen, If someone says something positive once, then I'll remember that. But that's what's going to... I mean, in the case of this work and with Barb and the organization that I, helped create and everything, that was different. It was sort of like constantly... It's like I always think of that movie with Robin Williams where he's in a concentration camp or something, and he walks around and just to cheer the people, he's always saying, hey, they're coming next week to let us out, and everybody's like, oh, great, and he just does that all the time, and then people are being slaughtered, and then he'll say to the next group, just to try to keep them happy, till they get gassed, and and then with like women and stuff, or relationships, it's, if they say one thing that's sort of, where it sounds like, hey, we have a future together or something, they have, me and their plans too, and I'm like, I'll always remember that even if it changes, and it takes a while for me to accept the changing of the mind, or what's more accurate is I'll do something as a reaction, or like because I'm, afraid of the intimacy or something, and then like what you were saying, and I'll push them away and cause them to reject me, and then feel bad when really I was the one that rejected them first, or rejected the whole idea first. That's what happened recently. Like I do something to end it or turn the other person off or something.
And that comes from...
maybe
do you really realize that they're not the right person, so you do that, or is it the fear of they're going to get too close and see who you really are?
Yeah, maybe I realize, subconsciously that they're not the right person, or I can't make it work. But I'm really like like people say I'm a fighter, like what they say about you. Like, and I feel like I can cure this, I can fix this, I can make this happen. And I just don't give up, and I hang in there too long.
So why don't you test if you're pushing away the person because you really know they're not right for you, if that's why you... No, I think part of it is also getting to know that is I think I'm not ready to let go of my own, scene yet, or my own world, or I think, like you said, I don't want them to get too close yet or something. I mean, that doesn't ring true right now, but I think that's what happened in the past. And, but you do want to be in a relationship.
I feel like I do. I mean, I feel like just the word is kind of funny, but like I have that sort of good feeling, or at least a little powerful feeling that Barb was saying happens after you suddenly realize, okay, it was right of the person to leave me, or for the person to have this not happen yet, or everything's okay the way it is now. And the whole idea of like, having a good routine and relationship with myself first and all that.
And how is that going?
I think I kind of have that. I see what it takes to, where I would have to be. I still think that's what I want. I still think I'm ready for that, but I just want it to be, I just want to fall into it and get going, and just move on with my life. Feels like it's all taking too long.
Are you patient?
Yeah, I just feel kind of restless and, bored, and like I've tried so hard, and I've pushed the wrong people, I pushed myself in the wrong ways. I mean, I think I've gotten value out of everything I did, even if it looked, dysfunctional or aberrated. Like, I think I was paying attention even, inside the virtual reality. I knew it was a virtual reality, but I was trying to train myself. But I feel like that's, that I'm done with that. I've done I got what I need to get out of it. And by the way, that's my idea about substances, especially substance addiction, or almost all addictions, is the way I was a little different than the 12-step approach, because I've gone to 12-step and all that sometimes, and I think there's like a little too much demonizing of the substances. The substances are just, they're just as they have God, they're just another thing of God as everything else, and they teach you lessons. So you say it's like a relationship. You say thank you and goodbye rather than fuck you, I'm finally free of you, and now I've gotten rid of this horrible thing, when really the thing woke you up or did whatever it did. Same with people. Like when people say, oh gosh, I'm finally free of that terrible boyfriend I had or whatever, I don't really buy it, because it's just an energy or a substance that taught you something or got you to see something about yourself. So just be grateful and say goodbye. So that's where I'm trying to be with all that, and I feel like I'm there. And I would like to move on. I'd like to have a real person, because that was kind of like that was like being in a relationship with some kind of entity or person, and now I want a real person. Yes, that feels true. And I have lots of friends and whatever, but we'll see. I mean, I've also resigned myself to just maybe being, one of those people that's alone or single. I have, and that might be okay too. But I've had a lot of relationships. I feel like I've had marriages. Most of my relationships lasted 2 and 3 years minimal, and 5 and 7 years. For a couple, that's a lot for most people. They were great, great fun all the time, but I was
like that.
interrelating with another person and living with people. So, but I had this sort of fantasy idea of things, and so if someone even remotely reminds me or triggers or looks like that fantasy idea, then try to not notice everything that's not right about them or the dynamic, and pretend it's not there, pretend I can fix it later or it won't come up later. And I also realize I haven't had requirements of people. I didn't really set my own requirements and state them clearly.
And do you know what those are now?
Yeah, I know that I want to be with someone who's, healthy and positive and, playing too responsible for their own experience, and, not thinking that I do something to them, It's like responsibility. When I first started doing all this kind of work, one of the first things you learn is you can't say, you make me mad, or you make me,
Okay.
I get upset.
I just want to break in here. We have about 2 minutes till 1:15.
Okay. So.
Now,
Yeah.
Jen, how do you see completing this meeting?
The Serenity Prayer?
Yeah, really. Keep working because it works. Yeah,
well, you've done a lot of curing, Jen, over the past 2 or 3 months now, and so you ought to be able to see a way of concluding and completing this. What are your conclusion questions? The things you want to test. What pops into your head?
What pops into my head is, have you, I guess, are you done with, or have gotten rid of your virtual reality around relationship?
The test, yes.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Now, Barb, how did you feel when you got that signal just now?
It felt very clear and straight up, and a lot of strength in my chest and heart area.
And you smiled. I noticed you looked happier.
Yeah, I felt honest. I felt that was better to be in no virtual reality than, single than a virtual reality and struggling.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Jen, do you have another question? And just try for 2 or 3 completion questions.
Okay. Well, I just go back to this really beautiful moment that we had when we raised our dimensions. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
It felt so good, you know?
I should do that more with people, other people too. Okay, we can do that again.
Go ahead. You do it. Say it then, Jen.
Okay, so are we able to go to the 144th dimension?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so now let's go there.
Okay.
You know, a little aside on this, Jen, I just think you're very, very intuitive, and I don't know if I would have thought of either of these things that you did, and they were both great. And you know, when I was doing this stuff after Chrissy left me, one of the things I would do, there's two things I would do. One is I'd link my higher bodies with hers, and another was that I would go to the 144th dimension. You just brought that back. And that worked really well for me, too. So thank you both so much. Let's continue on this next week. I think there's tons more to do with it.
Oh yeah, this could go on forever.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the thing about it, because you do cure it, and you're getting real answers, Barb. You did come out of your virtual reality. And I just kept going back into it over and over again, or finding other aspects of it that I didn't even know were there, that I was in. Like, one thing that you can test, and let me leave you with this, is, have I been trying to inhabit virtual realities for over 100 years?
Yeah, feels like yes.
What do you get, Jen?
Yes.
So there's a lot more to test about there. Okay, so to be continued. This movie was given to you by HUM, the World Ministry of IMMUNICS, which enables you to cure medically incurable diseases. We also produce the Cure Drive in the iCollege of IMMUNICS. This is the home page. And as you see here, the movie that starts playing automatically when the page opens is a 3-hour tutorial film, which underneath it is the beginning of a series of movies. If you click on these links, you go to another movie that's a continuation of the tutorial, showing different aspects of the things that people need to get into when they cure things. The movie shows many people curing things. You'll find complete cure tutorials on the home page. Under the group at the top is another, this is a video and text tutorial, and if you click on the link, you'll see it has 10 lessons, and you can click on each lesson and you'll see it that the lessons are movies interspersed with explanations. And if you continue scrolling down the home page, you'll find people from every continent: Europe, the US, Asia, Canada. This woman cured shingles, and in this particular movie that's what she's demonstrating. And at the top of the home page, you will find links to the cure meetings that we have every week. 9 p.m. New York time, Rome time 8 p.m. Underneath the cure meetings, you'll find a link to friend me. It's actually Byard. I'm Byard, speaking to you on Facebook. And you'll meet many people who are my Facebook friends there who have cured various diseases. Many of us have cured herpes, which is what I cured. Also there, if you have trouble getting signals, there is a whole bank of movies that focus on people who are just starting to get their first signals. Many of these people went on to bigger and better things, and you see them in other movies. But these are movies about their signals, how they got their first signals. At the very top of the home page, you will find above the masthead a link to the cure shows. And we documented people curing things on, we did this on the phone. There are shows on about 75 diseases, and the diseases are listed alphabetically, as you can see. You actually hear the people curing these diseases during these shows. That's post-traumatic stress syndrome from 9/11, the catastrophe. We have a show on that, and fever, somebody curing the fever, several people curing fibromyalgia, flu. We had a flu hotline, and there are many people. These people are actually curing flu, and the flu stops. It clears up during the 15 or 20 minutes of the call. It doesn't take long to cure the flu. Over here you have paralysis, parasitic parenting, Parkinson's disease. When you cure something, please join your voice with the voices of the many people who came before you by reporting your cure in our poll, which you can do right above the tally of the cures that people have reported is here at the top. And as you can see, there's a little link here. And if you click on that, you will come to a form that enables you to report your cure. This page is the hub of the Web College, and as you can see, there are detailed lessons on how to remove viruses, cure cancer, end trauma, recode your DNA, reclaim your organs, and other issues that people are interested in, such as the safety web. These are the main lessons of the Web College. And there are also movies here. Here's a movie on the right here of a doctor who actually years ago cured the flu on camera. So you can click on these two and play. He's demonstrating how he's doing it. They filmed him in his office. We've tried to provide you with everything you need here, and I wish you happy curing. Please be in touch with us. Just to say, can I go to the 144th dimension? See if you get a signal on that. Can I go to the 144th dimension?
Can I go to the 144th dimension? Yes? I guess I can.
Go ahead and do it.
Okay, both of you go to the 144th dimension.
I'm taking myself to the 144th dimension.
Me too.
No stopping for gas on the 8th dimension.
Test if you're there.
I'm there.
Me too.
Okay, describe what it's like on the 144th dimension.
I feel clear.
I feel less interested in anything below the 144th dimension.
Can we stay here all the time?
I know, exactly. I don't feel like
I didn't hear the word you said, Jen, when you said how it felt. You said, I feel
Clear.
Clear, okay.
Yeah.
Clear.
You can go there and you'll be clear when you're there. Are you clear about anything in particular? And it's okay to say no to that. It's just asking.
Yeah, I feel, well, I mean, this would take a lot of backstory, but there are some decisions that my family's making that I now feel clear about.
Yes, because when you have that perspective from the 144th dimension,
Yeah.
You simply don't care about anything as much.
That's exactly it. But I don't care doesn't sound so good.
Well, see, that's right.
That's it. That's really
Not in effect.
When people hear we say we don't care, they go, "Well, God, that's sick," you know.
I know. It's a good thing.